Howdy y'all. Theoretically this thing's on. I'm trying an experiment with a new angle. And so I got for this experiment a really tough, sandy, difficult material from that almost always would need heat. I don't think I've ever had this material that didn't need heat. So it definitely is a self-torture kind of exercise. I may hit it a couple of times with a hammerstone to see what happens, as long as I'm experimenting. Nothing happens. Need a harder hammer. Here's a harder hammer. Told you it was hard. When you get a rock and it's sandy looking, usually kind of a bad sign. From the standpoint of trying to work it raw. Dang. I'm not really worried about how I look on camera with this, because all I'm doing is hopefully you understand that I've got a camera hanging in front of my face. And so I'm restricting my range of motion a little bit, trying to not hit the camera. So this angle is probably good for observation, but not great for results. Kind of going straight down. I don't want to go in here. I'm just trying to get some of that low-hanging area off. Uh-oh. Didn't hurt anything. This is not. I'm not getting the angles I want or the flakes I want or anything on this. I did a little test video a couple of minutes ago, and I hit the camera with my ball cap about twice, and I just did it again. So I need to switch to my copper tools that I have a little more, or a lot more familiarity with and control over with this thing hanging in front of my face, and see what I can do. With those. The other thing I thought about trying to do was to hang the camera higher and zoom in. And I'm using the front-facing camera on a phone, and I mean the back-facing camera, so it doesn't seem to zoom. So if I want to zoom, I probably need to get an HDMI cable and an adapter and a monitor, and get it where I can do everything and see what I'm doing while I do it, so that it works. Well, let's try this. Put it down like that and hit downward hard and push down kind of hard, and instead of just beveling and having the flake in there, the flake actually came all the way over to here. And I've talked about that before. It just, when the energy has nowhere to go, it's got to go somewhere, and it changes course. I hit that easy because I didn't want to go into that concavity any more than that. I really This concavity here, I probably could hit there and undercut that and run on through, but I like it better to, and I might could raise that up and try and undercut from that end too, but what I really like is kind of this thing. But I need to get some weight off the ends first. See how that did? I mean, that was almost an overshot and I was hitting more or less straight down. So do that. I mean, redirect your energy some. It's simpler. It's not, you can't do it the other way, where you know, hit in at exactly the right angle to get your conchoidal fracture to come off and run perfectly flat. You can. Where's my hand protector? I'm going to try and hit this without any support and see what happens. So that's with no support and exactly the right angle. And either one works. It's just which can you do and which is most predictably successful for you. There's almost always more than one way to do everything with flint knapping. Straight down, no support. Getting short beveling flakes because of that. And I would certainly not say that what I'm fixing to do is the optimal situation. Dorsal ridge abrasion. For good luck, we'll even do a little platform battering. Just to say we did. Putting weight on there. Nothing. Ow. I'm kidding, it didn't really hurt. Okay, so you saw that. What do you think it did? I hit almost straight down, right? I had the hump pushed hard into the pad. What do you think it did? I'll show you. Overshot. And took off quite a bit of the hump. Do I think that's the best way to do what I just did? No, because really, well, it depends on what kind of point you want. If I want a big wide point, then that was a good idea, although I'm still not going to get a big wide point because I got way too much thickness. But in actuality, for most people, most of the time, the more practical thing would have been to come on in more, raise that even more, hit more inward, and take a thicker flake and lower it even more with that one shot, because I still got a turtle here. Am I concerned about it? No. Me and turtles understand each other now. That's tearing really badly. Some rocks just don't have as much silica, and they got all kind of other junk. In this case, you see all these little fossily looking things. That's lime, that ain't silica. And so it just does what it does. This is too much of a square edge, and really you normally can't get the proper angle on that. But just since I'm experimenting with this camera and everything, I'm going to goof around. I'm going to try and hit that relatively high, even though it's on a square edge, and hope that it undercuts that, and we'll see. So anywho, yeah, you get to a point with the turtles to where you work so many of them that there are none of them that are a mystery to you. A lot of it is patience and analytical processes. You know, you'll be a first-year napper forever if you don't learn from every hit. you know, you can hit a million times, and if you're not paying attention and not learning from it, it's kind of like when you don't drive somewhere and you ride with somebody and you're just talking, and you know, you don't know where you went and the driver does. What am I doing? That was kind of a square edge, and that started to go down and hinge, but I was putting enough down on it to where it didn't really hinge much. This is not a great reduction, though. This is not a textbook reduction at all. I'm just talking and videoing, and this is definitely not a textbook platform. Ooh, that one isn't either. See, that one's perfectly almost straight up and down. That's a real square edge. And almost always, if you hit on something like that, it's at an angle that confounds getting a good flake, because there's no such thing as your conchoidal angle off of a square edge that's straight up and down. What ends up happening is you don't have enough friction to catch it normally, to catch that and drag it off downward. So you end up having to hit in a little bit. Well, if you hit in a little bit with it at that angle, your fracture angle kicks up too high, and it digs in and hinges. That's why you always have to work off square edges through beveling or through zigzagging or something. In this case, all I'm going to do is cheat, come over here and hit above it at an angle that will work. And there's my ridge. And you say, well, you're not hitting on your ridge. No, but I'm hitting close to it, and we'll see what happens. See, it sort of, even though it wasn't on the ridge, the ridge influenced it, and it just feathered. And I'm looking at the center line, and I didn't get up to the center line, so that's okay. I didn't get into where my point is going to be. This is really too heavy for the kind of hitting I'm doing, because I'm, dang. This thing in front of me, I can't lean right, I can't do anything right, so whatever. But you can see what I'm doing. So ignore the results and ignore most of the hits. I'm switching down so I can control better. Got a ridge there. Ooh, I didn't abrade it. Let's abrade it. You say, why'd you do that? Well, it's kind of fun. But, you know, if I think I'm going to do all that number, well, I sure don't need to be hitting on cortex. And I might should have kept my big bopper, but oh well. So we're just going to smack the snot out of this. I'm going to hold the back edge and hold it really tight and kind of get this on the back side of my leg with it up a little bit so I can get my right angle there, because I don't, when I'm trying to make a really big long flake, redirecting it doesn't seem the most efficient way to do that. So I'm just going to smack it, and this isn't very heavy and it's all chewed up. We'll just see what happens. What do you think? A blade. And see, I go throw that out somewhere and somebody find it and write a paper on it and be all excited. Here, let's save that. I'm kidding. I don't recall ever having damaged or contaminated an archaeological site. This is another one that's very unconventional. You see what I'm doing here? You say, well, there's your platform. No, that's not my platform. It's too low. It sucks. So I got a concavity here. That's too low. It's got cortex on it. I don't want to hit it. And you say, well, get it right. Come on in and clean all this up. No, I'm going to hit it wrong. over here. Yeah, I know. I'm a bad influence on nappers all over the world. Oh well. It's Friday. Wasting away again in Margaritaville. Let's try hitting this with no support and see what happens. Overshot. I think too low, no good. I'm really wasting a lot of time here and just goofing around. I'm tired. Okay, so this we're gonna freehand this one, which is hard to do with this thing hanging in front of my face. Jamming it in the back of my hand, holding underneath, so there's all my support is not from here, but from my fingers. Hit downward. Still made it wrap a little bit. Okay, now, so this is gonna be a big hit. Okay, you ready for this? That really sucked. It failed, and I overstruck too much, too high, and well, there's just not really much that I didn't do wrong on that one. I'm gonna hit this one now for grins. Ow, there's something stuck in my finger. Y'all, I'm leaking. Hold on. Oh yeah, see, that's cut. That's what I call cut. This is a good test video. I didn't learn anything from it. Hopefully you did. Don't nap without wrapping your little finger. Okay, I'm stopping to glue myself. I may or may not ever come back. Bye for now.